In this video, I'm going to give you 3 pillars for emotional regulation. Now, what is emotional regulation and why is it so important? Emotional regulation is someone's ability to manage their emotions. Seems simple enough, but oftentimes we are easily overwhelmed. Oftentimes things happen in our lives that are out of our control and we don't respond accordingly because it is overwhelming. The consequence of this is it creates entropy and chaos that we unconsciously act out in destructive ways, self-destructive ways. So, let's say you had a very stressful day. If you do not have emotional regulation, this will lead you to very unhealthy coping mechanisms, whether it be extremely unhealthy food, drugs, alcohol, overindulgence, and all kinds of things. And so, if we have emotional regulation, we're able to control our emotions so that we don't unconsciously bring out into these bad habits that are very self-destructive. You want to minimize the self-destructiveness, and you 100% do that through emotional regulation. If there's a buildup of chaos, entropy in your mind, without you even realizing it, you will try to release it in some way or another, be it lashing out, anger, isolating, depression, like I said, bad food, drugs, all these things, all these unhealthy coping mechanisms to regulate your emotions. So, here are the 3 pillars that I personally use to regulate my emotions. Number 1, meditation. Meditation is so crucial and important for regulating emotions. Why is that? Because when there is lots of chaos, lots of entropy going on in our system and in our minds, meditation clears that. It's basically offloading your stress. You see, when you're overwhelmed, your stress is up here. Meditation brings you back down, not only to baseline, but even to a more peaceful state than you were before. So, if you feel very stressed, I would highly recommend you do 20-30-minute meditations every single day. And if you do this, I promise you, you will see a drastic increase in the amount of peace that you have and the amount of stress that you can tolerate. Something that normally would have stressed you out before doesn't have that same effect. And that is because you've regulated your emotions. You've regulated that stress response into a more calm and content, peaceful place that's able to handle that. So that's number 1. Number 2, exercise. Exercise is it's the easiest. I'd say it's even easier than meditation because it doesn't take much. Even something as a walk. If you go on a 30-minute, 1-hour walk, you will feel so much better. I promise you. If you're having a lot of distress, just go for a walk. 30-minute, 1-hour walk. You will feel much better. Now, of course, you can do more intense physical exercise, go to the gym, do sprints. These boost very healthy chemicals in the brain, thus making you feel better and thus giving you more strength to handle more stress. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is becoming a neutral observer of your emotions and of yourself, and it could even be tied into all aspects of life. That's a mouthful, but what do I mean by that? You become the neutral observer by detaching yourself from the situation. So if you're in a very stressful place right now, you want to view that from a neutral place, as a neutral observer. You want to release identification with what you're feeling right now. You want to release the identification with all the stress. You see, when chaos builds and entropy builds, we over-identify with that stress, and it controls us even more. So by becoming a neutral observer of those things, we detach and immediately feel a shift in our presence. There's an immediate shift, and that shift is leverage. You have leverage there to control what your next move will be, what your next action will be, what your next thought will be, and just how you want yourself to feel. If you're in a stressful place and you can observe yourself neutrally, you'll find that you'll find it's not as big of a deal as you think it is. You'll find that this too shall pass. You'll find that you've dealt with something like this before. Maybe you've even dealt with something more stressful before. Therefore, this reaction isn't necessary. So by becoming a neutral observer, you detach from that, and a sense of peace will just come instantly. Now, of course, this takes time, and the more you practice it, the more you will get better at it. And the better you get at it, the more effective it'll become for you. I know this because this is personally something that I have used, and I know it works, and I know these 3 pillars work for emotional regulation.